Well, hello and welcome to the Amazing Tradies Business Show. We're coming to you this week from the Gateway Motel in Rutherford, New South Wales. Very proud to have them as sponsors. With wonderful space that we've got here in their function centre, which of course you can hire for weddings, conferences, any type of meeting that you have. Lovely to be here. And today we're talking about mindset on the show in our series of shows, and we have our guests with us today. Firstly, I'd like to introduce Laura Elkerslassie, who is the CEO of Profit First Australia. Hi, Laura.
Hi.
Wonderful to have you here. Belinda Atkins is one of the directors of Atkins Plumbing and Gas, based in the Hunter Valley of New South Wales, taking care of all your plumbing and gas needs. Welcome, Belinda.
Hi, thank you.
And we've got Brendan Holland, who has a couple of businesses, Holland Bookkeeping Services, as well as Carol's Cleaning Services. You'll see Brendan's got his hat on. He's got a lovely background there because Brendan's created a business where he is just started out touring around Australia, and he's camped up the far north coast of New South Wales and talking to us while he makes his way around Australia, and his businesses are running without him. Welcome, Brendan.
Hey, thank you very much for having me.
Wonderful to have you here. So again, today we're talking about mindset. Laura, if I can start with you and tell me what's mindset mean to you?
Mindset for me is actually, it's the foundation of everything, whether it's business or personal. It is our thoughts, it is our feelings, it is what governs us and helps us make our decisions, and it impacts everything from revenue to, whether you get out of bed in the morning. So I think it's one of the most important things that people need to, be aware of, and that's their mindset.
Okay, and when you say it impacts, can you give me an example of mindset so we can set that basis for, as a definition for what we're talking about?
Absolutely. So in my own experience, as the CEO for Profit First Australia, what I see regularly is that, there's these thought patterns that are going on in people's brains where it's, I can't get out there, or, who am I to be that person to be the expert in this field? And that's very much an imposter syndrome. It's a thought process. It's a mindset that we have as business owners, regardless of industry, that really impacts how we show up in the world, what revenue we bring into our business, and the impact that we have as well.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Laura. And Belinda, for you, is that how you see mindset? Is there any differences for you?
No, absolutely no. I feel exactly the same. There are definitely days in my business where I feel like giving up, and
okay.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to stay positive, but having a positive mindset is crucial for me in my business, because any day can be thrown into chaos by a reactive maintenance that might pop up through the day, or employee issues or client issues. So staying positive allows me to stay focused and to stay on track with my goals.
Okay, so tell us about that issue that crops up and where your mind goes to give us a good example of how your mindset during the day might change.
So we might have the day, well, we have every day out before, and if an issue arises, it throws that day out. It puts our jobs back, and then you can easily have a negative mindset thinking, oh, how am I going to keep up with all this? This is all too hard. But if you stay positive, break everything down, you can always figure it out.
So what happens to you if that negative mindset is impacting and you're saying to yourself, how am I going to keep up with this? What happens to you in the day?
Well, when my negative mindset kicks in, so my negative thoughts, that's when I feel like giving up. So it plays a huge part in my day. It all gets too much. It impacts my emotional state. Emotionally, I'm not available for my kids. I find everything hard. Everything just seems to get on top of me. But if I stay positive, it definitely does the reverse effect. Stay positive and patient, and I can get through the day.
Okay, we'll come back and talk about the positives. Brendan, for you, is mindset playing a part in your day personally and with your team and customers?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Like Laura said, mindset's the foundation of everything. If your mindset's not right, nothing else is going to go right. So it's about getting in the right, make sure you can make the right decisions at the right time. Otherwise, it could end up just belly up, and nobody wants that to happen, because your mindset would just go further down the drain.
Yeah. So is that mindset on a day-to-day basis or in general for you that you're talking about? Both?
So with everything, whether it's business, personal, yourself, family, mindset's the biggest thing. Because as Belinda was saying, if your mindset's negative and everything's going wrong, you're not there for your kids, you're not there for your partner, you're making wrong decisions, you're making silly decisions. So yeah, mindset's probably the biggest thing, and getting that right, everything else just falls into place.
Yeah, okay. So how you're thinking at the time is determining the decisions you make, which then determines the behaviour, the actions during the day, and from that, the results that take place.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, go on, Brendan.
No, that was it. I was just
okay. Fantastic. So Laura, and then I know with everything you deal with, a lot as the CEO of multiple companies, and particularly I see it as a Profit First professional, you'll work with us in Profit First professionals. There's the day-to-day and the long-term. Can you give us an example of how people's thinking, their mindset is hindering them from getting where they want to go?
A lot of the time, I actually find it comes back to whether we're talking short-term or long-term, that people aren't actually aware of what these programs are that are running in their mind or in their body, and therefore are not understanding themselves and are not understanding why things aren't going the way that they expected it to go, or why the business isn't growing to the level that it should based on all of the things that you have in place. And the biggest thing is that what I have seen is that once you can actually give yourself the space to really explore the mindset and find the tools that work for you on a daily basis or a weekly basis, quarterly basis, that's when you're going to really see that impact. And what I mean by that is, like, for example, I myself personally it's quite normal to get overwhelmed because I run multiple businesses and I have very limited time and I have 2 kids at home. And so, it's very easy for me to go, this is just too much. I'm going to go get a job. It's going to be easier. This is very much a mindset that can come up. However, what I do is I make sure I start my day with quiet. There's some meditation time, there's some journaling time, there's some writing down exactly what's actually going on in my brain. The mental load that we carry is huge a lot of the time, and we don't have an outlet for that. And so I find that if you allow that outlet, you can then make sense, even if it's not rational, as to, what's real, what's not, what can you let go of, what is something that's there that is actually untrue, and then use tools. And it could be from anything from journaling to, emotional freedom technique, the tapping and that something, or even just voicing it can help a lot. And so I find that that's an amazing starting point and makes such a difference.
Yeah, okay. Can I just take you back a bit there, because you talked about, the programs that are running in our head. Can you give me an example of 1 or 2 of those that you hear from people all the time? Like you mentioned, imposter syndrome, an example of that and what it's doing to people?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of the time, some of the programs that are running are, the imposter syndrome is probably the biggest I see in business, but other examples that I see are, there's basically, I can't earn that amount of money, meaning there's this total money mindset belief that, that revenue goal sounds amazing. Yes, it's exactly what you want to be able to provide for your family and get your business running and that sort of thing. But there isn't that belief that you could actually hit that target. And so no matter what systems and processes you have in place, this money mindset is such a hindrance. And it is so common because it comes back to things like you need to work hard for your money. You need to, if you don't work all of the hours, then you're not going to get the outcomes. And there's these stories that we have grown up with that impact us. And without even exploring what those are, you don't even realize they're there and what impact they're having.
Yeah, so people can ask themselves, if they listen to themselves during the day, they can hear some of those things they're saying to themselves as
Absolutely.
the starting point. And then you're saying, then you can do some work on changing those stories to yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Belinda, do you hear those stories from yourself, from Chris, who's running the business with you, from team members, from other people?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I hear those stories. I especially hear them from Chris. At the end of a day, at the end of a hard day, he'll come home, he'll unload, and then I seem to take it on as well. So I've got to then teach myself not to take it on and to just listen. So yeah.
Yeah. So and so there's a definite impact from there. I can hear in your voice there's an impact from having those stories.
Yeah, absolutely. I take everything personally. So it's hard when Chris just wants to come home, unload on the day, and then I try not to take it personally. I'm trying to be a listening ear.
Yeah.
But it definitely impacts on me as well.
Yeah. Okay. Brendan, it's interesting when we hear these. Have you had the stories to yourself, and how have they changed for you now?
Yeah, I still get them now, but you always, you get yourself down. You're just getting in your own head, and that's probably your worst enemy, getting too much in your own head. I know before we left to come away, there was a few times where I was thinking it's not going to work. The business is going to crumble, and it does. It gets you down. It gets you worried, and then you start having those thoughts about, no, we're going to quit. We're going to do something else. But then, the light bulb, you have the light switches on, and you start to see the positive side. You start to tell yourself that it will work. It's going to work. And then, as you know, it is working.
Yes. Well, so, Laura talked about having some strategies in place to help with that positive mindset. But what gets you to the point where you realize that you're telling yourself stories? Obviously, we're trying to do that by putting this information out there for people at the moment. What, either for yourself or for other people that you've seen, what gets you to the point where you understand that there are stories that you're telling yourself?
I think it gets to a point of overwhelm, and you can kind of just feel all that negative stuff just building. It comes to a point where there's just so much that you can't go any further with any sort of thoughts. So then you're kind of thrown in to actually to know that, yeah, you've had enough. This is where you are, and you've got to change. And then you take a step back, and then that's when you start to unpack everything that's just built up.
Yeah. Okay. Laura, do you see a point where people get to where they start thinking about, how do I change this, so that they're looking for the answers?
Interestingly enough, I find that people go searching for answers to tangible problems first.
Okay.
Because, if they see it as, either that staff are a problem, or that the cash flow is a problem, or there's something there, and so let me go find an expert who can help me with that. When in actual fact, you can look at that, but if you go, what's deeper than that, and what's below that, but what's going on, what's going on for you, that's when that person kind of goes, oh, okay, right. And so there's usually a tipping point for someone where they think they need something, they ask for that help, and then with the right person, they realize that it actually comes back to mindset. And that's when they go, okay, I can go looking for help now in this.
Yeah, so they're looking for help for the problem, and we talk about them playing the blame game, or in my language, being below the line, that it's the team's fault, the dog's fault, the accountant's fault, the kid's fault. It's everyone else's fault, and they get to that point. Does that come from the engaging with somebody because they're looking for someone to help them with the things they have to do, and a person's pointing out to them there's more than that? How do they get to that point of realizing that it's actually about them and their stories?
I think there's multiple ways that happens. So yes, From a business point of view, I see it time and time again that it is once they engage and work with someone who looks at not just business, but holistic, because we are our businesses. We, our personal life is entwined with our business. It's all connected. And so that's when I really see a big shift. Then there's other people who, have read, books and that sort of thing and are wanting to go on that personal development journey and, read something where they realize that, oh, this is me. I see myself in this. And that's when they start to delve a bit deeper as well. So there's multiple ways to come to that point. But I do find that from a business point of view, it's once they engage with someone for a problem that they can then dive a bit deeper.
Yeah, okay, great. And I'll just stay with you, Laura, there, because do you see that also as people are implementing profit first? I mean, one of the big things that I got from reading the story that Mike told, as well as the principles of how to put it in place. I'd been doing similar things for many years, but there are a couple of key points in the book where he's telling the story, and it was like little light bulb moments for me about the way I was thinking. Do you see that even in the implementation of Profit First, that people are thinking, I follow this logical system, I can do a nice spreadsheet, open bank accounts, but there's the rest of it to it in their attitude, that whatever it is that has to happen?
Absolutely. People come into Profit First thinking it's all about numbers, when in actual fact it's not. It's about behavior and mindset. And until you can address the behavior and mindset, which is through this framework, which happens to be dealing with your numbers, it's actually you're dealing with the human being. And I see it time and time again. And it's especially for those that are like, I can implement this myself. It's really easy. I can do this because, I've got step by step. And then they're like, it's not working. Why isn't it working? And I guarantee it's mindset and behavior that is not being addressed.
Yeah, and the behavior follows the mindset.
Absolutely.
If the mindset's right, yeah. So again, Profit First, really, really simple concept. As Mike says in the book, envelopes have been around for ages, but there's more to it under the skin to make it work. Yeah, thanks very much for that. Belinda, with what you've seen, Laura's talked about putting some strategies in place to reprogram the mind to be positive. What are the sort of things that you've done for yourself, or you've seen other people do, that you think helps with moving the mindset to a positive one? And if you had an example, that'd be great.
Absolutely. I've got an example. I reached out to yourself. I reached out to Marcus, and you definitely helped. Definitely. Chris and I were at the stage where we would wake up just having this churning in our stomach. It was just a constant battle of our mindset. And then once we got you on board, you've definitely changed everything for us. And what Laura was saying is so right. It's not just about numbers. I thought coming into Profit First, it would just be about numbers, but it's so much more than that. It is definitely about mindset and behavior, as you were saying. You've definitely helped us start to turn that around. I think a negative mindset is definitely hard to turn around, but we're slowly doing it, and we're slowly getting there. And I can definitely see a difference in myself.
So I'm going to jump in and be the coach again there for the moment and say, so that's one of those stories. You've just told us one of those stories that impacts a negative mindset is hard to turn around, is the story that we tell ourselves that makes it hard to turn around. And I get it, this is oversimplifying, but ultimately it's a decision that gets made. I can show you that in hypnosis, we show how people will behave as you mightn't think they would behave once we get inside the subconscious. So being positive, is there a particular thing that you do each day about being, or when something comes up to become positive, Belinda?
I always, Chris calls me many times a day and tells me about how his day's not going so good. So together, I just say, let's take a deep breath and concentrate on what's important here. And I actually have a photo of my kids in front of my computer, and a photo of where I want to be, which is what Brendan's doing, traveling Australia. So I definitely look at that when I'm having a negative thought, and I think, okay, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Okay,
I'm doing it for my kids. Yeah.
some practical visual items in front of you to remind you of where you want to be. And just to be clear, it's not actually a photo of Brendan.
No.
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 Good. Yeah, excellent. Brendan, for you, are there, what do you do to work on your mindset, whether it be on a daily basis, overall? What can you suggest? And I'm going to come back for one action for people to take away, but just in general at the moment.
Some of the things that
what he does for a positive mindset is take himself off around the country, and he doesn't have to worry about the internet dropping in and out. So we'll see how we'll go. We'll come back to Brendan. So I'll come back and we'll just do, so considering what's being said about the stories we tell ourselves, imposter syndrome, the programs, all of those things that are going on, the language we use to ourselves is really important, and the language we use to everyone else is really important as well. Belinda, I'll start with you with what's one action you would say to people, do this and this will help?
Well, my action is to contact a action coach, because that is what helped us.
Okay, so get some outside help. Is there something that more specific that you might do, like the take a photo of the family and put that in front of you and just remind yourself of what this is doing? Is there anything else like that you might do? Absolutely.
So the photo of my family, and I also exercise, so that definitely helps me with my mindset.
Yeah, brilliant. Exercise, really, really important. So healthy body as well as healthy mind. Thank you. Put something in there. Laura, for you, one action for people to take to get them moving in the right direction for them to become the person that they want to become and have the things that they want to have in life?
I've got one word, and that is consistency. And what I mean by that is find a tool that works for you, and it can change. And so what I see is that people try a million different things and drop it. Yep. Try one, stick with it for a period of time, such as journaling or going for a walk or, the visuals. Stick with it, be consistent, because consistency changes the mindset.
Yeah, okay. So that's a lot like we say in business about doing 90-day plans. It's a long enough time to consistently work through to see if what you're working on works, a short enough time that if it's not working, you can change it and try something else. So great. And I mean, we say that in business as well, don't we? Marketing, give it a good shot. Don't do it for 3 minutes and go, oh, it doesn't work. Let's change. So get the body working right. I really love Belinda's have that visual in front of you of, touring Australia. I love visualizations of things, but get the body working well as the mind working well. And I'd put a spin on that to say a lot of people we see working on their health and they're not spending their time on their mind. So build that into your day as well. And then pick something and be consistent with it to move forward, move in a positive direction. Thank you, guys. That's awesome advice. And the same thing I'd say to our listeners, you don't have to go and look for 27 other things to do. There's 2 pieces of advice right there. Take one of them and follow through on whatever it is, and then work on something else later on down the track. So that's our show for today. There's the series of shows that are going to be up on many different subjects. I'd like to thank you for watching today. You can find Laura's details with the post. The post's going to be on many different social media platforms as well as available on our website. The same with Belinda. You can find her details there. Main way to get in contact with Laura or with Profit First is through Profit First Australia. If I just type that in, find the website, you'll find a Profit First professional to help you. Really advise that. Get your money right certainly helps with the mental state that you're in. Again, I'd like to thank the Gateway Motel in Rutherford for hosting us, letting us use their function centre. It's a great space for us to be in, and I look forward to seeing you on the next show. See ya.